Hey everyone, this is Tingo welcoming you to another Marvel Strike Force Saturday Special. Today's Saturday Special is going to be going over Doom 1 raids. Now I know this is a little off script because typically I do war stuff here on this channel, but today I thought I would cover raids. I've been wanting to do this on the channel for quite some time, but I haven't gotten my teams where I wanted them, and I don't typically finish the mutant nodes. But today I figured I would spend the energy and get through those mutant nodes. So when I do these raids, I take on the bio nodes out of the gate. So my very first node is I1, Bugs Are Us. Now I still do use my symbiotes because I have not built up my web warriors yet, and this is how a symbiote's route should be done according to me. The very first thing I do is target Gregs. You'll notice this is a very similar thing that I do when I'm going after the Asgardians in war with symbiotes, but targeting Gregs gives me the chance to get my symbiote set up to get their abilities around, and the first of these abilities that's important is getting Scream's ultimate out there, and I will target Jessica Jones for that, because that will ensure that it hits at least 5 tunes, and will put Disrupted and Turn Meter Rewind on those 5 tunes. From there, it becomes a matter of using your ultimate abilities and special abilities to get those debuffs out there. I'll use Venom's ultimate to spread a whole bunch of debuffs, and then really the tune that I want to target first is Jessica Jones, because Jessica's second turn is her special, and when she unleashes that special, she will cleanse everything. So knocking her off the board before she does that is the most important thing in the battle. That way your piled up debuffs don't just magically disappear and you lose all the work that you spent the first minute or so of the match setting up. If you can, it's good to stun Symbiote Spider-Man with your Symbiote Spider-Man's ultimate. That's also very helpful to keep their turn meter and their damage down. Now once JJ's gone, it's a matter of either going after Hela or Taskmaster first, and then I put this on basic auto until I get to the second wave. The reason for that is I usually tend to get close to timeouts on this, and I will definitely get very close to a timeout on the next node. So basic auto, especially with the symbiotes, is very helpful. One thing you will notice is Jessica Jones has a lot of resist, so it's very hard to get debuffs to stick to her. But that doesn't mean your turn meter rewind from Scream doesn't work. It's just a matter of getting those bleeds out there that won't necessarily land. So for the final wave of this Node 1, the two people you really got to be concerned about are Falcon. His special, which will be his second turn, is a speed up for the entire team. And Jessica Jones, her special, which is her second turn, again doing all the cleanse. I kind of prioritize those two. Landing a stun or an ability block on Falcon will do the trick for him, and just getting rid of Jessica Jones is the best option for her. And from there, it's a matter of just quick cleanup. I would give Electro a little bit of priority because she does have the ability to do a lot of damage when she's fully charged, and it doesn't seem to take long for her to fully charge. Once you get rid of Falcon and Jessica Jones, I highly recommend putting this on basic auto so that you don't time out, and so that you can get your special abilities and ultimate abilities charged back up for the next round. You will need them. Alright, we're on to round 2, which is I2 Jab. Now this is the boss node, and this one does take some special care. Hopefully you were able to recharge all of your abilities by using basic auto. Assuming you have, my suggestion right out of the gate is to focus on Doctor Strange. I do exactly the opposite of what I am telling you to do here in this video. Do not follow me. The first move is correct, landing Carnage's ultimate, which will add some bleeds. The second move is going to be to land the stun of Symbiote Spider-Man on Doctor Strange. The reason why this becomes important is because what you're going to do is build up a bunch of debuffs onto Doctor Strange and then use Anti-Venom's ultimate to steal all of those debuffs and turn them into buffs on your team. The problem is, if you don't actually stun Doctor Strange right out of the gate with Symbiote Spider-Man, you're going to end up having Doctor Strange unleash his special ability, which will flip all of that and turn it into a mountain of debuffs on your team. Instead, stun Doctor Strange, build up all the debuffs, and use Venom's ultimate to spread them to Colossus, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, and Punisher. And this includes using Scream's ultimate to get that disrupted out there on Colossus. After that, you'll be able to start working your way over to Jessica Jones. Again, very similar tactic. Jessica Jones here is yet another cleanser, and her second turn can be your make or break. If you don't knock her out, she's going to cleanse all of your hard work, and I promise you, you're going to want those debuffs to stick. The way I attack this node in this video is absolutely backwards of what should be done with the symbiotes, and it's the reason why I get down to 1 second left on the timer before actually finishing the node. So, spoiler alert, this one almost times out, and I used to time out with the symbiotes before I figured out a better method. Some things this video does have in common with the way I do them now is, for example, you want to ability block Mordo as soon as he drops in the second wave. You really don't want him getting his ultimate off right away, which he will have available, to put heal block on all your symbiotes. You just don't need that kind of problem. And you will want to focus on Mordo and knock him down, or build up an inordinate amount of bleeds so that he bleeds out. Now, the way I finish this is really no different than the way that I do it nowadays as well, which is keeping Colossus and NTW around until the end. The difference is I make sure to keep a pile of debuffs on them as long as I possibly can. So don't focus on those two other than to make sure that you get Screams disrupted on Colossus right away and possibly extend it with Symbiote Spider-Man Special. One of the other considerations for end of Wave 1, beginning of Wave 2, is to make sure Scarlet Witch is knocked out. Her special, which comes turn 2, will take all of the health from all of the tunes and divide that out equally, which means if you were very close to killing off Wolverine or very close to killing off somebody else, all that hard work is gone. As with the first node, the other thing to consider is Electro, making sure that she doesn't stick around very long, because when she is charged, she can do a world of damage in a very short period of time. And on this node, even if your symbiotes are huge, she can still one-shot somebody. And if she picks Anti-Venom, you're not going to be able to revive whoever it is. Into the final wave, we've got two considerations again. Squirrel Girl is priority 1 to either get ability blocked or stunned, because her very first ability will be a full cleanse. And so you want to make sure that that gets completely nullified by not letting her even get it out. So she'll be priority 1 to get stunned or ability blocked. And then vice versa on Falcon again. Because Falcon, again, his special, which is turn 2, is going to be a speed up for that team. At some point, you're going to want to put this on auto. Either basic auto or regular auto, but it's going to come down to probably the last 3 or 4 tunes before you do that. The added advantage is you do have Carnage available, where his basic will spread debuffs, so that's very helpful. Other than that, this will be a race against time, and hopefully you win that race. I do have alliance mates who are running Web Warriors, and they're telling me that timeouts are no longer an issue. Since this video was filmed, I've also changed my symbiote approach, and I almost never time out anymore. I do get down into the last minute or so, but I'm much more efficient, much faster, and usually have no concerns. Next up, we've got skill node H2, slowly but surely. The one takeaway that I want you to have from this video is that this node is a piece of cake. It does not seem to matter who you take with you, you can clean this up fast. As you can see, I've got kind of a motley crew. This was before I had my Secret Avengers built up, and it doesn't take long at all. I will say for Secret Avengers now, it's the Secret Avengers 3, Kestrel, and Zemo are the ones I take in, and I start off very similar. With that team, I run my basic attack on Hela. I will use Kestrel's special to wipe out the middle, and then I will put it on auto basic to clean up. But this is one of the fastest and easiest nodes in Doom raiding. Next up, we've got skill node G2, a speedy recovery. Again, pretty simple, straightforward skill node. Used a motley crew for a very long time on the skill nodes and didn't really have a problem until the boss. So the skill nodes seem to be pretty easy in Doom 1, at least as far as I'm concerned, as long as you've got your team about gear tier 15, somewhere in there. First one you want to take out is going to be Doctor Strange. From there, I would go Merc Lieutenant and clean up Taskmaster and X-23. And the rest can be basic autoed again. They don't do a ton of damage. Rhino can get a taunt out there. The only thing I would say that you want to be careful of is if this turns into a very long-term match, Ironheart drops in the second wave. So you're going to want to get rid of her before she gets her special off and puts defense down on you. But usually it does not last that long. Alright, we're on to skill boss node G3. Pay the bills. Now, one thing I do want you to take away from this video is that without Secret Avengers, finishing this boss node is going to be tantamount to impossible. I had 5 gear tier 15 tunes, including Kestrel, Zemo, and Shang-Chi, and I couldn't hack it. Secret Avengers makes this a whole lot easier, especially since Sharon Carter's special will put out defense down. And, of course, if you tap a character that's got defense down, Kestrel will then do another tap on that same character, which you're going to want to use to get through some of these nodes. It's especially important whenever you're going up against Doom. Doom is the antithesis of every raid team, and he does pull out his ultimate, which can level a team. So if you don't focus down on Doom, you're going to be in a world of hurt, and you do need a way to make sure that there are defense downs on him so Kestrel can continually focus on him as a second tap whenever you hit him. So keep that in mind. The rest of this is pretty straightforward. You actually want to get rid of Ebony Maw pretty quickly, but Doom, again, is your #1 priority. And then really it's a matter of spreading around as much damage as you possibly can. You aren't going to see the most efficient attack out of this video, because Secret Avengers certainly does that. And I do have to give a hat tip to my alliance mate, Cortana for Hire, who finished off this node for me because I left it half done. As you'll note as well, I did quit out of this battle when I had Kestrel left standing, and that's because the next nodes are tech nodes, and without Kestrel, your tech nodes are going to be a mess. Tech nodes are actually a mess anyway, so I needed to make sure I could retain her for the tech nodes. That was priority number one back in the day when I couldn't finish these skill nodes on my own. Now, with Secret Avengers, one thing that can be done is you can not only finish this boss on your own, but you can also save up Kestrel's special and ultimate and charge them up while finishing off this node without actually having to use those abilities. That way they're ready to go first turn for your tech nodes, because you will want them. Next node up is F3, Keeping the Lights On. This is your first tech node. Now, tech nodes are a mess. There is no dedicated tech raid team. With Bio, you've got either symbiotes or now the more favored web warriors. With skill, you've got the Secret Avengers plus Kestrel and whoever you feel like for a fifth. On mutants, you've got the Axemen. But with the tech nodes, there is no dedicated raid team. So a lot of these are basically a cobbled together group of tech toons that don't have really any synergies. And that makes it incredibly difficult to go through these nodes with any kind of success or repeatable method. That said, if you've got Doom, use Doom. If you've got Kestrel, use Kestrel. If you've got Doc Ock, use Doc Ock. If you've got Minerva, use Minerva. That's really the core four of the tech raid teams, and they're really not built to be that good. Doom takes forever to get his ultimate if you don't have a battery. So you could use Star-Lord, for example, as a fifth, but Star-Lord will get crushed. You could use Nebula if you've got a very large Infinity Watch, which I do, and do. You could use Ultron, but then Ultron has the ability to summon bots, and every bot that Ultron summons takes up a slot for a Doom bot whenever you use Doom's ult. There's not a lot of great answers here. Some people are using Lady Deathstrike, others are using Star-Lord T'Challa. Come into this node, if at all possible, with a fully charged Kestrel, and you stand a chance. You will definitely need it because one of the very first turns you face is a Magneto who will land a blind. At the very least, Kestrel has the ability to cleanse herself, get rid of the blind, and start doing damage on her first turn. Next up is Tech Node E3. Small wings, big stings. As this hints at, you're going to be facing some Pym Tech tunes, which aren't particularly damaging, except for maybe Wasp, but you can focus on her. You kind of get a little bit of a turn off here, except for you will have to worry about a lot of tunes. There will be 16 total tunes that you'll have to take out, but once you get down to the last 4, it will be Anti-Venom, Venom, Stature, and Ant-Man, and those tunes don't really do a ton of damage once you get to that point. One of your primary goals with this raid node is actually making sure that you are getting Kestrel's special ready to go, and you are not using Doom's ultimate if you have it available. You need both of those immediately to begin the third and final tech node, which is the boss node. You can use Doom's special here, and I would recommend it once you get into the second wave, which is 6 tunes wide. It will help speed up things, make sure that you don't get caught up in a long beat-em-up battle where they do a lot of damage to your team. But definitely hang on to Doom's ultimate because you're going to want to use it on turn 1 on the next node. Get Kestrel's special ready to go. You're going to want it on the next node, turn 1. Other than that, it's going to be a matter of picking a target or two, making sure you don't get yourself caught up in a long, drawn-out battle, and you really don't want to get out of phase with your abilities because you need them for the big boss node coming up. Alright, we're on to the tech boss, E4. What's up, Doc? What you'll see with my team here is I swap out Nebula and put in Ultron. Now, considering just 2 videos ago, I mentioned that Ultron can summon bots and fill up slots for Doom bots, you're wondering probably why the heck I'm using Ultron at all. And the reality is, because there is no battery on my tech team, Doom's ultimate is only going to go off once, and I'm going to use it pretty much right away. Once I use his ultimate, then I will summon the Ultron bots, if given a chance, to add some longevity to this. As again, those bots, just like they are in War, they're very helpful in this raid node because they have the ability to grant offense up, speed up, and regeneration. The thing you have to watch out on this node, however, is the fact that there are no less than 3 black bolts that will come into play. And in the middle, you'll also get a rescue and a crystal. Now, what does that have to do with anything? Well, the rescue and crystal will add longevity to Black Bolt, including minor heals and cleanse. And you'll also have a couple of war machines that come out, which will have some synergy with rescue. And so this is a very high-powered node for the tech boss. So there's a lot to unpack here, a lot to go through. So out of the gate, you want to target the Kree Noble and use Kestrel's special. That will put up defense down on 4 tunes, including Doom. Then from there, what you're truly hoping for is for their Doc Ock to go first and add 2 regens to every one of the tunes. Then your Doc Ock can take his ultimate out and flip all of it. Very helpful. And it will also extend those defense downs, which are incredibly helpful as well. Next up is Doom's ultimate, then 2 Doom basics. You're going to want to make sure that you're tapping at least the tunes that have the defense down, but probably Doom just to make sure you can get rid of Doom when your special comes up. And then it's time to do whatever you possibly can do to get rid of the first Black Bolt. In this case, it looks like Doom has given my Kestrel 3 straight turns, which is great. I'm going to pop off her ultimate and go after the Black Bolt. Now, one thing to consider is your second turn with Kestrel, if you get this, is to tap Vulture so that he also gets defense down. That way, when you're moving forward, you can get extra Kestrel taps on both of them as you move on. Once you get the chance, summon Ultron's first round of bots. That'll give the other team targets to take out instead of your big tunes. and focus on Rescue and Crystal. There are 2 Black Bolts left. The first one will drop right in the middle in the back row, and the last one will drop on the far left in the back row. So keep an eye out for that. One other thing to consider is you're going to want to use Doom to disrupt Rhino to make sure his taunt doesn't get off, and then definitely go after those Black Bolts again. One thing that's very hit or miss for me, and since this video I have upgraded Ultron to try to avoid this, and it's still an issue, is Black Bolt has the ability to blow out Ultron if he gets off his special, and the other Black Bolt is on the board, and they both happen to get him down to red. So even if he survives one Black Bolt's passive attack, the other Black Bolt will certainly take him out. And as we know, Minerva cannot revive that. You really don't need to care anymore about maintaining your specials and ultimates for anyone other than Doom at this point. You're going to be slowly working around to get Doom's ultimate back up anyway, but Doom is the only one moving on to the Mystic nodes. So keep that in mind. If you have Deathpool ready to go for the Mystic nodes, however, this becomes almost irrelevant because she works as a great battery. And at this point, I would just make sure to summon Ultron bots as often as you possibly can. The Ultron bots with just Ultron can actually carry you through the last 4 tunes if necessary, even if you lose the rest of the team. Alright, on to D4, the first Mystic node, which is known as Out of Sight. I love the Mystic nodes. Mystic nodes have so many great options. You can use Cloak and Dagger, you can use Deathpool, you can use Doom, you can use the Eternal, you can use Silver Surfer, you can use Adam Warlock. There's just a bunch of things that you can do here, and the Mystic nodes for me have been a piece of cake. I've never really moved up Cloak and Dagger towards Doom Raid capabilities, and I don't need them. I use Doom, I use the Eternals, and I use Deathpool. The one character I will say is most necessary is Deathpool, because in Raid she becomes a battery whenever an opponent is killed. You pair that up with Doom, he's popping off every other turn or so. Meanwhile, whenever you kill an opponent's tune or more, Deathpool will get an extra attack. So she's not only a battery, she's also extra taps. And so Deathpool is definitely a requirement for the Mystic nodes. The other 4, you can take your pick. A lot of people seem to really like the new Warriors. They were definitely designed for this, but Deathpool's really the only one that matters in Doom 1 raiding. Then it's just a matter of picking your favorite 4 other Mystic tunes to take out these nodes. And now we're on to Mystic Node 2, C4, Greener Days. So I spent the entire last video going on and on about who you're going to take into this, and the fact that Mystic nodes are really, really quite fun. If you've got the Eternals, they offer so much control and turn meter control when paired together that it really doesn't matter who you go after. In this particular one, though, you do want to keep an eye out on Falcon. Again, same reason as I used for the other nodes. Falcon has that speed up on his second turn, so if he does get it, it can wreak havoc, especially since it speeds up the entire team. So just keep an eye out on that. You're going to have to punch through a pair of She-Hulks here, and you will have a Coulson that can do some damage if you don't have a very well-built Mystic team. So make sure that your Mystics that you're going into Doom with are at least level 80 and at least gear tier 14, probably higher, and you're definitely going to want them on ISO for this node. But other than that, it's a pretty straightforward matchup again, and with Deathpool, again, refilling everybody's ability energy, don't be afraid to use your other tunes' ultimates early and often. They will be coming back around pretty quickly. That said, I do like to save up my Doom ultimate from this node to go into the final boss node, but really it's not that necessary. One thing to keep in mind, though, if you do have Deathpool, make sure to use her ultimate every chance you get, because when she gets to 5 full charges and you use her ultimate next, it is a one-shot kill on any character, almost guaranteed. And if you happen to have all 5 charges and a fully charged Deathpool ultimate before the next node, hang on to it. You will use it on the very first turn against Doom. Up next is the Mystic Boss Node C5 Go Nuts. Now the reason C5 Go Nuts is so called is because there are 2 Squirrel Girls in here. But also on the board immediately will be a Doom. Now as you may have noticed, I did not do a very good job of getting my charges ready on Deathpool, so I did not go after Doom on the very first turn with her. I would definitely recommend it. It makes this a whole lot more fun when you can see a 6 million damage attack take out Doom in one swing. In lieu of that, though, you do want to ability block or stun or otherwise incapacitate the Squirrel Girl in the very beginning and the Squirrel Girl that will come down in the end. Again, for reasons similar to back in the Bio Nodes, Squirrel Girl has the ability to do a cleanse, but she is also a healer. For that reason, I put her on the priority list for any one of the Doom Raid nodes where she exists. So those are the 2 main ones that you want to take out in the very beginning. The second wave here, you're going to want to go for Invisible Woman. And the final wave is a very large one that has 2 Elsas, a Ghost Rider, and yet another Squirrel Girl, and so those are ones that you're going to want to take some time with and make sure you get those knocked out. As you can see, I played this one kind of cute. I held back my Doom ultimate instead of taking on Doom right away in this matchup. Don't do that. If you have a Doom ult back and you have not got Deathpool up, make sure to use the Doom ult on Dr. Doom on their side. Use both basics on Dr. Doom and use your Doom special and get rid of Doom. He's priority 1. Again, it's no joke when I say that the Dr. Doom rules apply here on these boss nodes. If the opponent Doc Doom pops off, you're going to be in a lot of trouble on these nodes. And it's particularly relevant here when you've got a Mystic team that doesn't rely on healing at all. So any damage taken through these Mystic teams, the only time that you're going to get any kind of healing on anybody is if you've got the Drain working with Circe and Icarus. Those 2 can kind of heal each other because of the Drain mechanic in the passives. And you have Doom, when he pops off his ultimate, will heal up at least one other team member as well, fully. But if you get down into the red with all 5, you're going to be in trouble when it comes to cleaning this up. So make sure you get rid of Doom right away. Beyond that, don't forget that Deathpool's special will spread most debuffs. Obviously not stun, as I have yet to see a toon who can spread stun. But beyond that, if you've got some ability blocks out there, or maybe a large stack of bleeds, feel free to use her special to spread that around. And since the tech nodes into the Mystic nodes were the last time you had to carry anybody from one origin type to another, you don't need to worry about saving anybody's specials or ults into the final nodes because you're going to mutants, and there's nobody with the mutant origin fighting on this boss node. So feel free to use all of your abilities, and like I said before, with Deathpool, she's a battery, so use your abilities early and often. Alrighty, we're on to node B5, Shocking Moments. And this is the first mutant node. I've tried this with the Dad Bros, I've tried this with a random collection of mutant tunes, and I've never gone anywhere until I got my Axemen team up. So Axemen is definitely the mutant raid team of choice, at least presently, and you'll see why here shortly. Now, the very first tune you'll take on in this node is going to be Doc Ock, and I do recommend focusing on Doc Ock. For the same reasons why Axemen is the correct counter in war for the Doc Ock Sinister 6, they really do well taking out the first wave here on this node. So you're going to want to focus down on Doc Ock. You're going to want to use Kitty's ultimate to put a disrupted on Doc Ock, because otherwise he will be able to keep healing himself and landing a whole bunch of regens and whatnot. The only person who may get in your way is Sif with taunts, so keep an eye on that, but definitely just try to land that disrupted on Doc Ock, and since he's a tech tune with Kitty's ultimate, he will get 2 turns worth of disrupted, which is very helpful. And this is another one of those raid nodes where it's kind of a big open, weak close. When you get to the second wave, which will have a couple of Pym Tech characters, Green Goblin and Merc Lieutenant, I always focus on Merc Lieutenant first, because he's got the ability to speed up the team, and then go to Ghost. By that point, you should be able to go to basic auto to finish it off, and shouldn't have any problems there. And we've now arrived at the penultimate node, A5, in for a penny. And same rules apply as always for this node. Squirrel Girl is a priority. Bishop is a priority. If your Axemen team has been decently upgraded and they have a large health pool and a large armor pool, Punisher really isn't that scary. You will face 2 Captain Marvels here, and when you're first bringing up your Axemen, she does have the ability to blink delete them. So you're going to want to get your Axemen up into the GT15 range, and that should make sure that she doesn't really do a whole lot to disrupt your team. Bishop right out of the gate will taunt, and you'll also have a Red Guardian out there that's going to open up with a taunt. So getting to Squirrel Girl before she gets off her special, not very likely. But with the mutants, it's not so much about building up massive stacks of bleeds and debuffs as it is just hitting over and over and over again, taking a ton of turns in a row without the opponents getting any turns. So it doesn't matter so much here, but I would not let Squirrel Girl hang around very long if you can possibly stand it. Try and stun Bishop if you can. Try and stun your Captain Marvel if you can. Punisher's relatively weak, so he'll be an easy takeout, and after his first turn, he takes a very long time to get around to a second turn, so you probably don't have to worry too much about him. He'll be kind of a cleanup character later in the first wave. In the beginning of your second wave, you're going to be facing off against Bishop again, and you will have a Magneto coming at you. Now, I would highly recommend getting rid of Magneto, making him top priority, because he will be able to land the blinds if he gets his ultimate off, which will come first turn. And that will just set your rotation back a long ways, and it gets really annoying when you're trying to attack people and no attacks are landing because you're blinded. So I would definitely try and knock out Magneto right away. When he does drop, focus on him as best you can, although sometimes Bishop will come down and taunt and take away your first few attacks. Use your splash damage type of attacks to get him, which would be like Kitty's special or Iceman's ult if you have them available at the time. And then for the final wave, you'll have a Blob to deal with and another Captain Marvel. And don't forget about using Iceman's Special on somebody who's already got a slow. Iceman's Special, when attacking somebody with a slow, will turn that into a stun. So make sure that you keep that in the back of your mind if you're going up against a bunch of these guys and you're starting to struggle because your Axemen just aren't quite as big as mine. You can pick the appropriate tune, probably a Captain Marvel, and get that slow converted to a stun, and that can make all the difference in this attack. Otherwise, clean up with Reckless Abandon and get yourself on basic auto as soon as you possibly can after the third wave gets down to 3 or 4 players, and get all of your specials and ults ready to go for the final node. Then now we've arrived to the final node, A6, Nightmare on M Street. And this is the mutant boss as well as the end of the road for this raid lane. This raid node is an absolute pain. You start off the map with 2 cleansers, one of which is Emma, the other one is Squirrel Girl. Doom's on the map, you've got Dad Bros, and you've got Black Bolt. That's the first 6 out of the chute. So what really makes this painful is the fact that you can have all of your specials and ultimates banked up from basic auto on the last node, and you can start getting your slows out there and your debuffs and such, and either Squirrel Girl or Emma will cleanse them all immediately. On top of that, you're fighting a whole bunch of tunes that really do a ton of damage. Squirrel Girl is going to provide healing, and Dr. Doom, just like all of the other boss nodes, will use his ultimate second turn. So you need to get rid of him. And Squirrel Girl's in the way, and Emma's in the way, and Dad Bros aren't helping, because Shatterstar's ultimate will come out and put up defense up. So you've got a lot of things to contend with here, and really the main concern for this node is timing out. My Axemen cannot handle this on one take. One thing I will say about this node, however, when I hadn't built my Axemen up as high as they are now, I was not timing out, I was getting crushed. My Axemen now can handle this node, they just don't have enough thunder to take it out on one hit, which you will later see. Now remember, the things that you're going to want to do are get the slows out there as best you can and avoid the cleansing as best you can. And you're going to want to use Jubilee's stun smartly. In this case, I stunned Doom, which is a complete waste. The only reason why it wasn't a total loss of an ability is because Doom, even though he cannot be stunned, he will convert a stun into a slow. And so, since all the cleansing is out first turn for both Squirrel Girl and Emma at this point, that slow will not be going anywhere for a while. And I do need to put a certain amount of control on Doom's speed bar. Now again, going back to what I mentioned with Iceman earlier, his special will turn a slow into a stun, so given the chance, you're going to want to use that to make one of your opposing tunes skip a turn. In this case, I picked Shatterstar, but another good option would have definitely been Black Bolt. Once Doom is down, I'll take out Squirrel Girl to get rid of the healing and one cleanser. And then it's time to focus down on the Dad Bros and Black Bolt. That will help with getting rid of some of the damage. And with 2 minutes left on the timer, I'm already in regular auto mode. And that's because I've spent so much time in the very beginning trying to take out Doom, I'm just trying to cut through as many of these tunes before the timer runs out, knowing full well that I'm going to have a second tap later. In the second wave, you'll have Zemo, Taskmaster, and Jessica Jones. Zemo will be able to land an ability block right out of the gate. He's got his ultimate available, and that will also put a charged on him, so he'll be able to take his passive blast against your tunes the next time he comes around. So you might want to clear him out as quick as you can. Jessica Jones is there for her turn 2 cleanse as well, and Taskmaster has an annoying amount of debuff lands. And now we're on to the final tap of this node. I will say the nice part about this is you can put the raid node instantly into auto mode, and you're doing this for multiple reasons. One, you know you're not going to lose your Axemen at this point because they survived most of the damage. And two, you're going to want the AI to do all of the turn management because it will speed up the turns being taken and will maximize the amount of turns you get. So you don't have to worry about a second timeout and tapping the node a third time. So I clean up Taskmaster. I really just don't like him because he's a controller, can land debuffs, really just pesky kind of character to take out. Then it's a time to get rid of Emma, if at all possible, because she does have the ultimate that will force your characters to attack each other, and she can land a blind. Then Squirrel Girl drops in, and as usual, I really don't like Squirrel Girl either because she has the heals and she has the cleanses. Again, against the Axemen, it's not as big of a deal, especially this late in this node. Probably want to go for higher damage tunes at this point, like Black Bolt. And of course, the last two tunes to drop will be a Merc Lieutenant and another Black Bolt. So I managed to get Squirrel Girl stunned here, so I kind of like going after the Merc Lieutenant to get rid of the possibility of a speed up. Doesn't really matter. At this point, it's all about just letting the AI take them out. If your Axemen are as big as mine, they're not going to have a problem cleaning this up, but good order is probably Merc Lieutenant and then Ghost Rider, and if Squirrel Girl manages to get unstunned, you'll want to clean her up. Black Bolt isn't that much of a threat. He's mostly a threat on the tech nodes. He's not a big threat on the mutant nodes because of the amount of armor and resist and all of that these guys have. So at this point, just let the AI do the work. I do plan on releasing future videos with the skill nodes showing what Secret Avengers can do, and some of the tech nodes with my latest and greatest power levels of Ultron and Doom. As it so happens, I have Doom as a blue ISO level 3 striker. He's Gear Tier 16, my first Gear Tier 16 character. He's got all 5 red stars, and all of his abilities are maxed out. So I have the highest Doom you can have in the game right now. So I will definitely be featuring a raid video later with him in it. And as always, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this Tingo MSF Saturday Special, and hopefully some of these insights helped you with your Doom 1 rating. Have a great day, everyone.